Take it straight up to Capitol Hill. Devin Nunes, Chairman of the House Intelligence Committee.
That we need from the Director and from other intelligence agencies, but I thought today was a good first step in making sure that we're transparent, not only between the legislative branch of government and the executive branch of government, but also with the American people and with all of you. So with that, we'll open it up to questions.
So after meeting with the FBI Director, are you still confident that there's no evidence yet of contact between the Russian officials and the Trump campaign during the election season? We still have no evidence of that, other than the ones that other than General Flynn. And was that a topic of today's discussion?
Well, I'm not going to get into what was talked about or not talked about in the hearing today.
And what's your reaction to Jeff Sessions in his meetings with the Russian ambassador? Should he recuse himself from?
Well, I think we got to be very careful here. It's a slippery slope. All the countries in the world basically have embassies here. A lot of those countries are adversaries, but we all meet with those. Many senators and congressmen meet with those ambassadors on a regular basis. So I've only read the press report that said that Mr. Sessions had a meeting, and so I think at this point it would be up to Attorney General to, I guess, clarify with the Senate if there's some disagreement. And I don't know if there is yet because I haven't seen what the senators are saying who attended those hearings.
Has Jeff Sessions' name come up at all in the course of your briefings as part of the investigation?
We're not going to talk about what's going on behind closed doors in a classified nature. I'm sorry.
Should Jeff Sessions recuse himself from the investigation that's going on in the Department of Justice?
I have no idea because we have no idea what he did or didn't do. So I think it's up to the Attorney General to, like I just said, I think he needs to talk to the senators if there's some disagreement there.
Senator Graham told some of us this morning that he wanted Director Comey to tell him whether or not there was an ongoing investigation. Is that something that you've asked of the FBI Director, or do you think that's something that's not appropriate for him to tell you guys?
If there was an investigation of a sitting senator, I think that would be pretty rare for them to tell us, or any elected official for that matter, of the legislative branch.
Do these developments change your mind about how the investigation should proceed or potential contact between Trump surrogates and the Russians? Is an independent investigation needed at this point, or is your committee still well equipped to handle this?
No, I think this is the appropriate place for this to be done. We have the legislative branch has the House Intelligence Committee that has very broad jurisdiction over the intelligence agencies. It's bipartisan. We have a bipartisan agreement. And as I've always said, this is a long, ongoing investigation and concern that we've had into Russia activity, not only in the cyber realm, but involving elections and other elections across the globe.
Now that you've set the scope of your investigation, what's the timeline and the next steps?
Look, there's a lot of information that we need to get as it relates to the document that was produced by the Obama administration and the IC in the early part of January. All of that intelligence that went into building that document, we're still awaiting some of that, and we're setting up. We'll also be looking at what the FBI can provide us. Then also waiting to determine if we can figure out who may or may not be part of these leaks that have occurred.
Mr. Nunes, you said that you meet with ambassadors all the time, but the real issue here is his failure to disclose that when he was asked about this during the confirmation hearing. So how can the American people trust him to oversee this investigation into the campaign contacts with Russian officials if he did not disclose it himself when asked by the Senate?
Yeah, so I don't know what has been said or not said. I mean, I only just quickly read the press report. Then I know that there's things that the senators may believe that they had asked him, and then he responded. So at this point, I think there's a disagreement between the Attorney General and some United States senators. And the best thing to do here is, I think, for them to level their heads to prevail and for them to discuss this just to see if this can be solved, if there can be any agreement. But look, I'm in the House of Representatives. I'm not in the Senate. So.
Are you going to Sessions today?
No, I'm not. I won't be talking to the Attorney General. I would
The
have
New
nothing
York
to talk
Times
about.
There's no evidence so far of campaign officials talking with Russian officials?
Yes, that's correct. Other than in newspapers.
Well, outside of Jeff Sessions and outside of campaign officials, is there evidence of Trump associates being in contact?
Not that I'm aware of at this time. But as I've said, I read about this in the newspaper, and I see some of you talking about it. If you have those names of those people, if you want to come forward as a whistleblower and bring those to us, we would greatly appreciate it, because we would like to have those names, bring those people in, but we need some credible evidence in order to do that.
Speaking of newspaper reports, the New York Times also reporting today that British and Dutch intelligence officials had let Americans know about meetings in European cities between potentially Trump associates. Are you familiar with any of that information?
Yeah, I don't have anything that would lead me to believe that that's the case.
And do you have any concerns about the other piece of that reporting, which was that the Obama administration was concerned that this intelligence might be destroyed or ignored?
That seems pretty far-fetched. I don't even know who, because I think those were unnamed Obama officials. So, I mean, if those former Obama officials have those concerns, it'd be pretty easy to stand up in front of a press conference like I'm doing now and talk about those concerns with all of you. I would suggest that you guys go chase them down, sit outside of their house, and ask them if they have concerns about whether or not the FBI and other agencies were going to conduct an investigation.
The White House has asked the staffers to preserve any documents that you all might need to investigate this. But the preservation order, I don't think, was issued until like a couple days ago. What happens to the information that was already out there?
Look, I am not at this point. I would have no reason to believe that any information is going to ultimately be withheld from us. I will say there's a lot more information that the FBI and the intelligence agencies need to provide to our committee so that we can thoroughly go through all the information and process it and do an investigation.
Without getting into
Schiff said the other day that he wasn't really convinced that he hadn't gotten the assurances yet from the FBI that they would be cooperative. Did you get that assurance?
Yeah, I think that, well, the director was very upfront with us. I think we were very direct with him that we want to continue to get this information, and he, I think has an agreement with us that he's going to try to provide what he can with us. So, is there more information needed? Absolutely, but there are also, it's not always easy to get this, because when you're talking about information that was gathered through FISA, that some of it possibly was picked up incidentally of Americans, especially as it relates to General Flynn, which we went over on Monday with that.
But what are the reasons that the FBI can't be as forthcoming as you might like?
It's not a matter of them not being forthcoming. It's a matter of them providing us timely information when they can get it to us.
And why can't they?
I would assume that because it's quite complicated as it relates to if, for example, you were on the phone with the Russian ambassador and somehow your phone call got recorded, would you want them turning over that phone call and that transcript to the committee?
Wasn't there a difference, though, between a public person and a private person?
Well, that's the point here. General Flynn was a private American citizen, so look, I'm sure some of you are in contact with the Russian embassy, so be careful what you ask for here, because if we start getting transcripts of any of you or other Americans talking to the press, then we can, do you want us to conduct an investigation on you or other Americans because you were talking to the Russian embassy? I just think we need to be careful. Other questions, new questions? Yes, sir.
Earlier this week, Mr. Schiff was talking about additional resources for the committee that would be a request to the administration. Are you guys going to receive additional resources for this investigation?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're hopeful that we're going to get additional resources in the normal process of the House Committee on Administration.
Without getting into the classified information that you discussed today, did you actually learn anything new?
I'm not going to get into what we learned new or didn't learn new. Look, Mr. Schiff's here, so I don't know. Any other questions for me? I'm going to. All right. Thank you.